Let's talk about the character of Gail Wynand. Wynand presents an interesting conflict in a character. So he's somebody who has the basic orientation and spirit of a creator, but he has chosen to exercise that spirit, that creative ability and all of his energy in the service of seeking power over men. So he's somebody who's portrayed as having a Rourke-like spirit, but not living a Rourke-like life. Instead of living a life of independence and pursuing his own happiness, pursuing his values for the sake of his own happiness, Wynand has devoted himself to trying to rule over men, to seek power over men by pandering to their basest instincts, by pandering to their lowest thoughts and values. There's a certain similarity between Wynand and the character of Peter Keating in the sense that both of them are portrayed as embodying our sort of conventional understanding of what selfishness is. When we think about the concept of selfishness, we think about somebody who, goes around trampling on other people to get what they want, who seeks to serve their own interests at the expense of other people. And Keating and Wynand are both portrayed as embodying selfishness in this sort of mistaken, incorrect sense in different ways. Keating is somebody who's basically spiritually empty, and he pursues what he wants in life by backstabbing and climbing up the corporate ladder and so on, and in order to pursue fame and fortune and so on and success in other people's eyes. Wynand has a different approach. So he's somebody who has a self, he has a certain creative energy, but his manner of using people is to try to seek power over them, to rule them. And one way to look at the difference between them is where Keating is somebody who's portrayed as having no soul, Wynand is portrayed as someone who's sold his soul. So he has the basic energy and drive of a creator, but he's sold it out. He's sold out his integrity in order to try to achieve power and rule over men. Now, when we meet Wynand, what we see is that the choices that he's made over the course of his life have brought him to a place where he's spiritually empty in a certain way. He's sort of, when we first meet him, we meet him in a very dramatic way. He's sitting with a gun raised to his temple. And he's contemplating committing suicide, but he doesn't go through with it. And he doesn't go through with it because he's indifferent. He doesn't feel anything. He's indifferent even to the thought of his own death. So he's so spiritually empty as a result of the path that he's chosen in life, that even the thought of killing himself doesn't bring him any dread or any form of emotion. Now, and the arc that his character goes through, we see him from this starting point of just utter spiritual emptiness, and we see him go through a process where, so he meets Dominique Franken, he meets Howard Rourke, and meeting these two characters reawakens within him the independent creative qualities within his soul, the creative drive and the Rourke-like spirit within him. And for the first time, he has values in the world that he wants to defend. He doesn't want to just give the people what they want. He wants to try to use the influence that he's acquired, the power that he's acquired over the course of his life, to try to actually have an influence on public opinion to defend an ideal that he himself holds. And in effect, he tries to redeem his soul. And what we find, in the end, he's not able to. And we find that what he discovers is that he has no power over men. So this is the basic arc that the character of Wynand goes through. Now let's look in more detail at the different aspects of Wynand's character.